when you know that you don't want to end up like the average person, then you need to do things that the average person isn't doing.
Yeah.
I just started to realize that no, like you're in a different lane now. Like if I don't succeed after going to LSE, that's weird. People need to know about this formula. Like, look, do well in school, get into a good university, and you can really break yourself out of that trap. I haven't come from an academic family till now. Like, I'm the only one who has gone to uni and probably will go to uni. My older brother like did football, and both of my younger brothers act as well, and they're probably not going to go to uni because it just doesn't really align with them.
Yeah. And I remember amassing so much wealth. Like, how is that on like partners or potential partners? You've had this like worry in the back of your head that you're a bit intimidating. Like, you know, has that ever crossed your mind?
What do you think? I just feel like I'm already rolling my eyes. There was this Goldman thing that absolutely blew up, where someone in Goldman had taken some screenshots of what their IBD analyst was saying about like what it's like to work in investment banking. I've been through foster care, but working in banking is even worse. Like all of this stuff that was going on. I
don't think I've ever really seen like a vulnerable Lamide.
I'm going through a life crisis at the moment.
Really? What's the life crisis?
I don't know what I want to do. I swear to God, every day I'm always like, I don't know what I want to do. In my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. This has just happened. I'm going to need to turn this around. YouTube, do I still want to do YouTube? Where do I see myself like doing YouTube? Like, like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to leave my job? Do I want to stay in my job? Do I want to... Hi, I'm Lamide. You're listening to the 24/7 Club.
Lamide, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like you're someone that I've kind of like watched like over time kind of thing. And you're one of the reasons why I even started like my YouTube channel and this whole
stop lying.
I'm being dead serious, and we're actually gonna get into it, like legit. Like I remember like seeing your videos, because I think I was watching your like you were doing YouTube when people were on YouTube to watch pranks and couples. Like you were doing like corporate stuff.
That long ago.
It was like at least for me anyways, like I was not going on YouTube to go and watch about careers and stuff in it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And you actually have a very wide fan base, because like I was telling you, like my sister's like a fan of you kind of thing. It's so funny, she's not looking at her brother to get inspired to go to uni, she was looking at you. I was like fair enough. But no man, like I said, we're gonna kind of like, you know, just really talk through like your story from like, you know, way back when to now kind of thing, innit? Do you know what I mean? So it's gonna be a trip down memory lane kind of thing, innit? But you're like how 24?
Yeah.
Right? And you've achieved a lot. You've achieved a lot, like from like, you know, when you started till being 24. Like we're talking EY Corporate Finance Award, we're talking Target Jobs Undergraduate, top 10 rising star. And like I haven't even started on like present day ventures as well. So like your accolades are already exemplary. But I kind of wanted to understand like 16-year-old Lamide, like, you know, like how you were at that point in time. Specifically at the point when you like got that full scholarship to like, you know, go to like a private college kind of thing. I wanted to talk through like the journey leading up to that and how that whole experience was, so we can kind of start from there.
Cool. So what, we're starting from after my GCSEs?
Yeah, basically after your GCSEs kind of thing. Because I feel like upon my research anyways, that's kind of when I started to see the clear trajectory in terms of like awards, scholarships, like upward trajectory kind of thing.
Okay, so after I got my GCSEs, so I think with me, I haven't come from an academic family till now. Like I'm the only one who has gone to uni and probably will go to uni. My older brother like did football, and then he was kind of like bounced around from different jobs a bit, and now like he's like, you know, he does like project management. He's done well for himself, but he didn't go uni. And both of my younger brothers act as well, and they're probably not going to go to uni because it just doesn't really align with them. And then my mum also was like one of the only ones out of her siblings who also didn't go to university. So I feel like growing up, there wasn't really much of like I didn't actually have pressure from my mum to like do super well. Like, of course she wanted me to do well, and she was happy when I did do well, but I didn't have that pressure. So I was kind of navigating everything as someone who was like, you know, career driven and like academically driven by myself. So when I finished my GCSEs, I didn't know about like going to a grammar school and XYZ. I didn't really know about that. I knew I didn't want to stay in my school because I just felt like I wasn't surrounded by the right people there. I wanted to move into a space where there were more people like me.
But what? So how are you like then? Because I feel like at that age, like that's so like well informed to feel like, I don't know, like when I was in secondary school, I wasn't really thinking about that. I was just thinking, I'll go to the college because that's the college that everyone goes kind of thing. So what made you feel like no one was like you? Like, how were you like?
Because I was like at the top of the school, and like I'm not that smart. Like now in context, I'm really not that smart, and I'll talk more about that when I speak about when I went to private school. But like I just didn't want to be the best person in the room. There was like a few of us. There was like 10 of us, I would say, who was like super driven, but most other people were just getting up to like nonsense. Like this is a school in Hackney. As you guys trashed Hackney already.
The ghetto.
Like, especially like 10 years ago, Hackney. Like my school was like 70% Nigerian. Like it was all black, and it just I just knew that I needed to get into a space that maybe was a bit more focused on people who were trying to like do well, really well academically. So I didn't know how to go about doing that. So the first thing that I did, I just found this new school in Newham, and I went there. And that was I wouldn't say it's a mistake now because everything works out, but that was not necessarily a good school. One, it was a new school. I don't know why I thought like at that age, obviously I had no one navigating me, but I thought a new school would be a good school. It really wasn't. A lot of the teachers that should have been there couldn't get their visas in time. Like it was just a whole mess of like I think we were like the second year group in that school, and it just really wasn't a good school. And went to a school again where like you're like the best student, and it sounds like it's great, but in hindsight it really isn't. And so after I finished my first year of A-levels, I at that point I thought I wanted to study chemistry. I was really, really good in chemistry. I was really, really good in like sciences and maths. And then at that school, I got a B in chemistry. And then after that, I was like, I'm not staying here, because we didn't have a chemistry teacher.
Oh wow!
There was only one chemistry teacher for the whole of the sixth form, doing year 13s, year 12s, and a lot of the time she would like come do 10 minutes in our classroom, go to her other classroom, do 10 minutes, come back, and I was just like, what the hell is
doesn't
this?
Make sense.
So when I got those grades, I was like, no, I'm leaving. And so I started calling up new schools. And again, I didn't really know very much. No one was helping me. It wasn't my mum.
And you were just doing this all by yourself in your own accord kind of thing?
Yeah, I had like me and like three of my other, like, there were like three of us in a group. We all left that school because we all like came in super, super strong. And then we just felt like our A-levels didn't reflect that because we didn't have good teachers. So we were all like, we're moving schools. So I started calling up schools. And then the first school that I called, because it was ranked as number one, I called them and I was like, hey, like these are my GCSEs, these are my A-levels, I want to move schools. And then they were like, oh, fine, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sure, like we'd be happy to take you. The fees is like, what was it, like 21,000.
Oh, so this was like a private school type thing.
This was a private school.
And that's how much you just didn't like where you were kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how much I was like, I'm going. But I didn't know it was a private school. When they told me about the money, I was like, oh, okay, thanks, bye. And I literally cut the phone. I was like, oh. So I started calling new schools again, and then literally like 10 minutes later, she called me back and was like, okay, hold on, like, can you like, I think she told me to write like an essay about something, and she was like, we might want to offer you a full scholarship. So I kind of went through that process, and then that's how I got my full scholarship to go to that school. So in year 13, I got my scholarship and then went to...
So you basically done like 1 year basically in like one college, and then like you progressed kind of thing. And how was your like, again, like was your, you kind of said like your mum wasn't really, I guess, involved in like the academic journey. When she heard that you kind of had got the scholarship, like how was she like kind of thing?
She was like happy, but like again, when you don't know the magnitude of something, you're just like, okay, that's good. So it was just like, that's cool, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Were you like an overachiever in high school? Like, were you just like always overachieving? Because it sounds like you were cognizant of the fact that you were the smartest in school, kind of thing. Like, did you always feel like you just wanted to?
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna rephrase that. I wouldn't say I was the smartest. I was like number one, but I would say I was the most hardworking. I don't think I was the smartest because year 7, year 8, when I wasn't focused, I was definitely not at the top of the class. I wasn't at the bottom, but I wasn't at the top. So I wouldn't say that I was the smartest necessarily, but I definitely worked like one of the hardest, which kind of took me on top. So yeah.
And if you reflect on like your upbringing, like, would you say there were any like strong influences as to why like you were just like on this high performing trajectory and like why you were working so hard kind of thing, just looking back at like your family dynamic and stuff?
I would say that we're very competitive. Like it's me and my 3 brothers, and it's just everyone's just compete on everything. Like everyone wants to be the best. So there was that. And I feel like, I just got that competitiveness from growing up. I think we all had it, and so I kind of just took that with me in school as well.
Fairs. Cool. So 2016 is when you kind of like finished college kind of thing. Were you happy with your A-level grades and stuff?
So that when I moved to private school, initially I was like super excited, blah, but that was probably one of my worst. That was my worst academic year mentally.
Really?
Because
Why?
I think I didn't know how underprivileged I was until like I went from living in Hackney to going to school in Kensington and Chelsea, like the richest borough maybe in Europe. I'm going to school with like some of the richest kids. They're getting dropped off to school in limos. Their parents are getting private jets in for parents evening.
Stuff.
They're telling me that they're in class and then they're ordering LV and all of this stuff. And so I just became super hyper aware of myself. And I also went from being top of the class to being bottom in some classes or at best middle. And I felt like my confidence was not massively. I didn't go to teachers to ask for help. So it was a very, very lonely year, and I didn't make many friends as well. I had like one friend, that was it, the one other black girl that was there. So I didn't have many friends, so it was a really, really tough academic year. So I got a B in maths, and because that class I didn't speak up at all. And so for me, no, I wasn't happy with that.
With the B in maths, like, because some people would have been ecstatic about that, like, but you were just like, nah, not really doing it. And I guess your other subjects as well, like, you did well kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fairs. So, cool. You decide to, I guess, take a gap year, like, before going to university. And from what I can see, during that gap year was when, like, Lamide was introduced to, like, the corporate scene kind of thing. I know you kind of done, like, an internship prior, like, a few, like, in Clifford Chance and so on and so forth. But that was, like, a proper 9-month stint of, like, working in, like, a proper corporate scene kind of thing. How was that experience, like, being the youngest person in a fairly, like, large corporate organisation? Like, do you remember any of that?
Yeah, I remember it. I really liked it. I really, really liked it. I had my manager was like super passionate. He was married to like an Asian lady. He's like a white guy, went to Oxford, like history, very typical, like your typical privileged white man. But he was so like pro, like helping people from disadvantaged backgrounds. And so he was a great manager. And then I met a friend there who was also doing the internship as well. She was in a similar boat to me. We actually went to LSE together.
Oh, nice.
So I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I just knew that because that was in like an insurance firm. I just knew that wasn't going to be for me because it was very slow.
I'm not a fan of like insurance, like the insurance industry, to be honest. I think it's like, so I think first of all, I think insurance is such a scam because if you think about it, insurance is like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're insuring the risk in case like you get into this accident, but when you do get into this accident, we're gonna make it,
paying you all this stuff.
We're gonna make it as difficult as we can to make sure that you, like, the whole basis of the insurance business model is to not pay claims. Like, they don't want to pay claims. So to me, it's just like whoever made that industry was like a crook. Like,
it's because they're so quick to take your money. When you're trying to claim your money back, they'll be telling you
there's like loopholes, like literally the contract. So to me, insurance was just like, because I literally did like a brief stint when I graduated from university. I worked in insurance for like a month and I was like, nope, like this is not for me, like kind of thing, innit? But no, that's like really interesting. And I guess like, how did you navigate like getting into the industry? Because I'm just thinking like when I literally did not know about this whole corporate thing till I graduated university. Whereas like you finished college kind of thing and you just knew that you were going to do this internship, you were going to take a year out kind of thing. Like, how are you navigating that? Because it sounds like, again, you've been kind of doing this thing independently, academically, and then now to go into the corporate scene, who was helping you?
So one thing about me is I've always had older friends. I think it's maybe because of the church that I went to, and perhaps I was probably quite mature for my age. So I always had, and I think as well, like when people see potential in you, a lot of people kind of want to mentor you and guide you. So from church, I had a lot of like older mentors who were also like on the same journey that I was in. So I guess I kind of relied on them. And so that I wasn't going to take a gap year. I was going to go to Warwick. I was just like, you know what, like, I don't want to take a gap year. Like, why am I taking a gap year? And it was like one of my older friends who was just like, you know, you don't have to go to uni this year. And that kind of just like opened up my mind. I was like, okay, cool. But then what am I going to do? At that time, I was working at Banana Republic in retail and I was already over it. It'd been like 2 months. And then one of my friends, Victoria, she was in her first year of university and she'd done an internship through this place called like the brokerage. So they're
I've heard about them.
Yeah, they're like a step down before like your SEO, your rare sort of stuff. So they're like the pre-university stuff. So I got in contact with them, and that was how I got my internship.
Nice, cool. So you done the internship kind of thing for 9 months. You figured, insurance is not really for me kind of thing. And then you basically were off to LSE, but it sounds like you got accepted into work first kind of thing. Like, how did you get into LSE? Like, how did that work kind of thing? Did you have to reapply? Like,
yeah, so I got into work when I was in year 13, like after like results day, but then I declined that, and then I reapplied. And I had only 3 universities that I wanted to go to. So it was either going to be Oxford, LSE, or UCL. I didn't apply to any other ones. So I applied to LSE twice because that was like my number one choice, and then I think maybe UCL was second, and then Oxford was third. So I reapplied. And
did you have to like retake like anything to get into LSE, or did
so
you
I retook maths?
Oh, okay, then.
Yeah,
cool.
I retook maths because like it was so weird. Like the grade was just like, this is not me. Like I like maths, so I retook.
I'm just using style to ask the questions my sister like when we talk, because this is literally the situation she was in. So she got into Warwick as well, kind of thing, but she doesn't want to go into Warwick. She literally wants to go into LSE to study economics history. So I'm just trying to ask like these questions, get them out of the way. But cool. So you went to LSE in 2017. Like I always call LSE, it's like the IBD Defense League. That university pumps out people going into IBD like from birth kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So looking at your track records, like, you know, from the scholarship to already having 9 months corporate experience underneath your belt, like it was clear cut that you weren't going to university like to play kind of thing. Like you were very much like, this is what I was going to do. And obviously like a lot of people would class LSE as like an elitist institution. And when you don't come from like a privileged background per se, it can kind of feel a bit out of place. Was that something that you could relate to during your early years, like when you were in LSE?
No. Because of my private school experience, that was uni. When I tell you, like, I went from like having to because I think especially when you come from like when you go to schools that aren't that great, they do certain things to like try and make you become like more respectable. So, like you have to wear a uniform, like they police you for everything. Whereas in private school you could wear whatever you want. You could wear a hat in class, like no one like you're in uni, like everyone is, I don't know, it's just so much more independent. It was very different, and so I already had that culture shock. So many people were international, there weren't that many black people. I was so used to it that going to uni was just like, this just feels like
this is normal. Fairs. And I remember like I was digging around your socials and stuff, and like the team managed to find like this statement which you made right across like your LinkedIn, where you were like, attending private school and a scholarship after 14 years attending skate school was the first time I realized where I stood in society, like socially and economically. And I initially became ashamed of where I was brought up and things I had in comparison to my peers. Do you recall like specific like vivid experiences
100%.
like
100%.
where they were just like raw?
Everyone had a MacBook, coming in. Everyone had a MacBook. I had like a Toshiba, like the big
the blocky thing.
A lot of ones. So like when I tell you I suffered in the school, I didn't bring like a laptop to school because I was like, there's no way I'm bringing that. So I'll try to do things on like my little iPad that I have, which obviously wasn't sufficient enough to do school. So that was like things. And then like obviously I wore my best garms because I'm like, okay, cool, like I need to like elevate. Maybe I'll Vans, like I was like, okay, these are my nice trainers. And then I saw everyone's trainers. I'm like, what shoes are these? I was thinking, you don't got money, like what are these? And I saw they looked like the shoes that I was seeing in Dorset Market. And I was thinking, And then only then I started to realize that this person was wearing Miu Miu. This person was all these designers that I never heard of before. And then like, because I remember this one day, this girl who always used to wear this shoe, and I used to feel like this is a Dorset Market shoe. It was Miu Miu. Now that I realized, I didn't even know that was a brand. And then one day when she was going to the gym, she wore Nike trainers. I was like, oh, so she does have Nike trainers. Why does she wear that other shoe? And I realized Nike trainers is her.
Is her
throwaway shoe. That's the gym shoe. The shoe that I was wearing, and I'm coming like, bro, when I tell you, like, there was so many things, and like even just being the scholarship student as well, that was a thing as well. Like people would discuss, like, oh, like, are you here on a scholarship?
Or like you kind of you got a ride in kind of thing.
So oh my god, it was like,
which is mad because I guess like the background where we come from, getting a scholarship is kind of like, oh, like well done kind of thing. Whereas like to private school kids and privileged kids, they're just like you got a scholarship. Nah, that's mad. Cool. So anyways, fast forward September 2018. You start Made in Hackney, #Made in Hackney, right? And what was kind of like the motive for this hashtag? Because I feel like you experienced this whole, social disparity kind of thing when you were in private school, but then you only started this movement like 1 year into uni. So this is like about 2 years later. Like, talk to me about that.
I guess I never really knew how to give back, but then I did have some friends who were like, because that's the great thing about going to LSEs, you just meet so many amazing people, and they're all doing like, everyone was like way above, just like you thought you were doing good, and you meet people and you're like, wow. And so I met a lot of people who were starting up their own things, and that was kind of what gave me an inspiration to start Made in Hackney. I was like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it as well. And I think my whole thing was just like, after getting into LSE, I realized like how, I don't want to say how easy it is, but like how simple the formula is, in a sense, to get yourself out of that poverty trap. Like, as soon as I got into LSE, like, I remember we would have these discussions in the classroom about like, like the teacher would say like, who considers themselves working class? And like, people would put like, all of us black, not all of the black people, because some of them were rich internationals, but some of us would like put our hands up, and then they were like, can you really call yourself working class if you're sitting in this institution? And I was thinking, yeah, because I'm going to go back to my house, my council house in Hackney. Of course I'm working class. But then I just started to realize that no, like you're in a different lane now. Like, if I don't succeed after going to LSE, that's weird, because everyone who goes here. So I realized that, okay, cool, like I haven't started to make money yet or whatever, but I'm out of where I used to be. Like, I'm like a level above, and I was like, people need to know about this formula. Like, look, do well in school, get into a good university, and you can really break yourself out of that trap. So that was what Made in Hackney was about. And
what did success look like to you from Made in Hackney kind of thing? Like, what was going to be the ultimate success like if you did Made in Hackney?
So the aim was to get into every single school in Hackney and have spoken at like a year 11 or year 10 assembly. And I think we was nearly there. And then COVID happened.
And who was we? Was there like a team behind this? Like,
no, it was just me. It was just me.
Fair enough. Now, and I like that, to be honest, because I think a lot of people, like, you look at diversity, for example, in corporate, and a lot of people are always like, oh, it's hard to get in kind of thing. And there are a lot of black people in this corporate thing, but it's kind of like when they get in, they don't open the door for no one else kind of thing. And there's like this element of gatekeeping, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I think it's really important, like when we get into these positions kind of thing, we open the door and try to let as much people in as possible, because the only way we're going to be able to like see more representation is if, you act as the representation and also bring the blueprint for other people as well. So I think it's really good that you kind of did that, right? What are the cons like of going to private school?
Some of the people there, as much as it's like, so like the school was like, listen, you lot are going to 5 unis, all of you. You're either going to Oxford, you're going to Cambridge, UCL, LSE, and maybe there was like one more. I remember when I told like our head of year that, I said I got into, I can't remember, like I told him like which universities I applied for. I didn't tell him which order. He was like, okay, you're going to go to like, I don't know which, he just picked one. He was like, you're going to go to this one, right? I was like
he wasn't even trying to, it wasn't a choice kind of thing.
And like, they do certain things, like if you like, so mad, because like if you miss your offer, right, in state school, your teacher will just be like, sorry, go to your insurance. If you miss your offer in private school, they're calling the school and saying, listen, I don't care, take and people have got offers. People have got, like, you don't realize like the power that the privilege, know they have like, money and the privilege, the things that they do is just like crazy. Like, they will get you in. Like, the people who get into like, and I think it's also the reason why I stopped fearing people who had money or like who were smart, because you start to realize some of the things that go on behind the scenes to make them that way. Like the things that the way they will crave like the subjects that you do to make sure that you get good grades, the way that they will call schools to make sure that you get in. You could have got a B, 2 Bs and whatever. They don't care. Like they will force their way into it. They get you studying in a particular type of way. A lot of these people have done A-levels multiple times to get in. Like they have all these loopholes to get their students in. Doesn't matter if you're smart or not. Like, you're paying the money, we're gonna get you in. So it's mad.
So the rich really be ruling the world.
Honestly, you can do anything when you're rich. You can actually you can be dumb and you'll get into a good uni. Like, they know what to do.
Like, privilege is actually like, providing access to like, a lot of places that
they're not a lot of everything.
Everything. You can buy everything.
No, that's wild. That's actually that's news. That's news to me. That's news to me.
Mad.
Did you like get on with the people like in your class?
They didn't really speak to me, and I didn't really speak to them. Yeah, everyone I think it's also just coming in year 13 when everyone joined in year 12. So everyone already had their
cliques and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And then I was just the only black girl as well. So you're just it was a very lonely experience, but it definitely it was like LSE. It prepared me for it. When people were like, "Oh, did you have a social life in LSE?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "How did you survive?" I did 1 year being the only person.
Yeah, so it was just kind of normal. Yeah. Fairs. No, okay then, cool. So yeah, let's go back to you still being an LSE kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You did a total of 7 internships, right? From what I can see.
Is it?
Yeah. When I was checking online and stuff. A bit of a controversial one, but do you feel like you would have known all these career pathways and opportunities if you went to a less known university that wasn't really integrated into the corporate ecosystem? Because I feel like a lot of LSE alumni, they're really entrenched in corporate. A lot of them, law firms, banks, all that kind of stuff. Do you feel like you would have been introduced to all of that opportunities?
I know this is your thing, isn't it?
This is my avenue, because I'm always I guess initially I didn't really care about all of that. I feel just to go off on a tangent in a second, I feel a lot of people, especially in the black demographic, for example, kind of use this whole I'm black, I'm not privileged as kind of a victim mentality kind of thing. And I feel that's such a limiting mindset to have, because my thing is I feel look, if one black person can get in, then you as a black person can get in, do you know what I mean? And I always try to lead by example as opposed to playing this victim mentality. But I remember when I started to do a bit of research, and I came across this whole Russell group, non-Russell group divide kind of thing.
Did you not know about this?
I literally, I was so oblivious.
Just living in your Peckham bubble.
Literally, just literally living in Peckham kind of. I'm I work in a nice corporate job. I got into private equity. I was this is normal to me. Do you know what I mean? And I remember I was kind of thinking, okay, where do I want to focus my efforts on with this beyond education thing I'm doing? And my friend was you should look into this non-target uni, target uni stuff.
Oh, even when you got into corporate, you didn't.
Literally oblivious. I was just on a tunnel vision kind of thing. And my friend was this non-target uni thing is a thing, and I was no, it's not. I started doing research, and it's it's mad. Literally,
big thing.
In 2022, the top 100 graduates only went to one non-Russell Group university to recruit, and they went to 19 Russell Group universities.
What was the non one?
The non was Bath. Which is a good uni.
Yeah. I didn't know they were non-Russell Group. I was
literally, in 2020, it was all Russell Groups, all Russell Groups kind of thing. And then in 2021, so the research is so compelling kind of thing. So yeah, again, circling back to that main question kind of thing, do you feel you being an LSE was kind of what made you so informed and clued up about all these career pathways?
I want to say yes and no. No, because a lot of the programs that I did was we kind of discussed in my story, all of this stuff was pre-uni. So the thing is with these corporate institutions and programs is if you start early, and this is why I went to Made in Hackney, I was get onto these programs now. You in Clifford in year 12, I did the Clifford's Chance program. As soon as they know who you are, every single opportunity that comes out, you're going to be one of the first that is presented to. So I've been getting all of these internships from corporate because when I was 16, 17, 18, I was already applying to these programs, already getting my name on their roster. And so going into uni, SEO and Rare was super, super key. I think I found out about that by from someone at church who gone the year before, and I got onto those programs. I got onto SEO and Rare, and that was how I knew about all of the corporate stuff. But however, going to a university like LSE is you're never going to forget that it's spring week time. You're never going to forget that it's summer, because everybody is talking about it. As soon as you start in freshers, other people are doing everyone's talking about what spring weeks have you applied to. That's the conversation that's going on. So even if you came to LSE and you didn't know about internships, you're gonna know. You're gonna know because everybody is applying. And so I feel that definitely being on the pipeline, I would say, happened beforehand or just when I started. But being in LSE,
in that environment,
it just is hyper focused on everyone's trying to get these internships. And also as well, there's so many career programs, there's so many CV. As soon as we started week 1, before uni even started, CV workshops, cover letter workshops, interview workshops.
From LSE career services team kind of thing.
They know exactly what to do because they know what their students are like. So they know exactly what to do to help you on that path. Whereas I spoke to my friends at other non-Russell Group universities or non-universities that weren't LSE, and they were what?
But
what's that?
I did not so this is so mad. So this is when I kind of like discovered your channel as well. I did not know about internships until when I was working in corporate, like when I got my first corporate job, like literally, like I would go home every summer and just go to like my normal retail job and like bang out overtime and like in like lad books and stuff. Whereas I remember when I came across your channel, you were like, yeah, like, you know, I did a 10-week internship and I made this much money and I do internships every year. And I was just like, what's an internship? I thought internships was just a thing you heard like in American movies. Like, you know, like, because you know, like Americans, they talk about being an intern. Like, that's literally how mad it was. So like, again, I think at the time, because I was so oblivious and I didn't know that I had to do these internships, I didn't know it was like like, you know, I don't have these opportunities. But then when I got into like working in corporate, I was like, shit, like I'm supposed to know about this stuff because like my peers in like Russell Group unis actually know about this. So yeah, no, it's quite mad, I guess.
But it's also good, like that's also like kudos to you, right? Because you were able to get in without having done all of that.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, as much as I know that this like disadvantage and this disparity exists, at the same time I really try to like make people understand that don't let it be your identity in the sense that, oh no, like I can't get it because of this. Because I feel like you're just always gonna have this like victim mindset and this like limiting mindset kind of thing.
Agreed.
As much as I try to make it my personality about like talking about it as much as possible, but really and truly it's kind of like just don't have that at the like forefront of your mind kind of things, you know what I mean? So yeah, no. But going to like, you know, career content creation and stuff, you're someone that I would actually consider to be like an OG corporate study influencer.
No, I'm not calling me an OG.
Listen, the reason why I say that is because, again, when I was going on YouTube, it was pranks and like it was pranks, couples. Those are the kind of stuff you're watching on YouTube. So doing the whole career study thing, that was like a niche. That was like a in how you saying like you. That, and bearing in mind, it was like falling on deaf ears. There weren't really that much people looking at it, so it was kind of like I remember seeing it. I was like, "That's weird." Like, you know, I was like, "What the hell? Like, this is weird." Like, he talks about like careers and stuff on YouTube. Like, no one's gonna watch it, kind of thing. But how did that all come about? Like, what was the journey for you? Like, from you like picking up the camera? Because I remember like, you were filming on your iPhone for the longest. That 5C iPhone.
Yeah, 100%.
I've literally been watching all your videos from the LSE vlog days. Like, legit. Like, you literally like that 5C iPhone, like with a clear, poor background quality and everything. Like. So how did that all come about? When did you pick up the camera and start recording?
So I first started on LinkedIn. I did an article. Which might be good now because we'll probably get into that. So I first started on LinkedIn when I was doing articles of like collating different people's internship experience. Actually, no, it might still be there. Collating different people's internship experiences and sharing it with other people who haven't had internships so they can have a little bit of insight of what those of us who did spring internships, particularly what we did, and then like, you know, gain some knowledge from that to apply for summer internships. So I first started like blogging on LinkedIn. I knew I wanted to do YouTube because I've been watching YouTube for like over 10 years and I loved it, and I used to watch a lot of college vloggers. So I was kind of into that stuff already, but picking up a camera, like it takes a lot of like, you know what I mean? So I just used to go on LinkedIn and just blog. And then one of my mentors was just like, you know, like people are like making people like no, she was like, people are making loads of money from YouTube, and there aren't many people who look like you who are talking about careers and internships, like the stuff that you're doing on LinkedIn. If you take it to YouTube, you're going to be one of the first people to do it. Yeah. So I was already thinking about it. Like I thought about it, then I'll shut the idea down. I'll start a page, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. And then when she said that, I was just like, you know what, like just go for it. And so yeah, so I kind of started. That was like in my third year of uni. Nice.
And what was going to be the basis of your channel? Like, what were you going to, like, the first, like, because you seem like a very strategic person as well. Was it like strategy or was it like vibes? Was it just, I'm just going to pick up the camera and see what happens?
Yeah, never vibes. I think for me, so because I used to watch a lot of college vloggers, I used to watch people who like particularly went to like good universities because like that was where I knew I wanted to
like
go.
America.
Yeah, like America. It was always American vloggers.
Yeah.
So but then every time like I would want to see like what their next career step would be. So like, okay, cool, you did really well, you finished uni, I want to see like that corporate life. They would always become full-time YouTubers, and I was like, oh, like I wish I could just see someone who will just go through that typical and is doing the actual and it's like vlogging like the behind the scenes. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and be that person. So yeah, that was like my my strategy for YouTube.
Fairs. And like the YouTube grind can be very disheartening, like at the start, like we all know this, because the YouTube's algorithm is not on steroids like TikTok.
Yeah.
Like TikTok, like you breathe and like, you know, you can get like 1,000 views like straight away kind of thing. Like whereas like with YouTube, when you start out, it's just falling on deaf ears. Like I remember like making YouTube and I got like 50 views. I was like, oh my God, like this is wild kind of thing. What made you like carry on, even though like, you know, at the start it's very much like a grind kind of thing?
Do you know what? I didn't find it that hard because I kind of built the audience on LinkedIn first. Like I was already becoming like a social media influencer on LinkedIn. Like at first I started off like posting every now and again, every time I would go to an event, and then I started having a routine of like, okay, cool, like twice a month I want to post LinkedIn articles about XYZ. So I kind of was like building myself up to go on to YouTube. So even before I started the YouTube channel, no, I started it and then I told my LinkedIn followers, like, if you get me to X amount of subscribers, then I'll post my first YouTube video. So it wasn't a lot of views at the time. I was happy to get like, you know, like 500 or something. But I kind of started on LinkedIn, and that kind of like gave me a bit more confidence when I went to YouTube. Traction.
Nah, fair enough. And I guess like you started to get like those awards as well, kind of thing, like as well. So like a lot of eyes were on you, right? Cool. Fast forward to 2020, you're like working your full-time like corporate job at a bank kind of thing in the world's biggest bank. You're also like a content creator. I'd call it that. You were doing a bit of finance and personal like lifestyle stuff, but I feel like careers was like really where it was that kind of thing. But then there was like a brief period where you just ghosted, like you stopped posting for a bit, and then you deactivated LinkedIn. And I feel like that one was quite mad, because to me it's kind of like, what would happen for someone to want to eradicate like their corporate, like their professional presence kind of thing? Do you know what I mean? Could you kind of talk me through like the series of events that led to that decision of you ghosting, especially when you were pretty much like on the high, like, do you know what I mean? Like the content was banging kind of thing. There were a lot of eyes on you. You were building an audience. Like what happened there?
Every now and again I think about deactivated LinkedIn, to be honest.
But it's like, what would make you want to because you could just log out. Like what makes you want to deactivate LinkedIn?
Just to like not be discoverable. Because okay, so this is the story. So there was a time where I was obviously creating careers content. Obviously you already know that you have to be careful. You already know that you're doing something that most people aren't doing, right? And then there was this Goldman thing that absolutely blew up, where someone in Goldman had taken some screenshots of what their IBD analyst was saying about like what it's like to work in investment banking. And so obviously these journalists love a good investment banking story, because investment banking before like now, where maybe it might be a bit more popular and stuff like TikTok, it was a very exclusive private club and no one knew what was going on inside. So if you did a day in the life of a banker, which is some of the videos that I was doing, I was getting 50k views, like so many views from it. And then like this kind of thing kind of blew up with like people saying that, oh, like I've been through foster care, but working in banking is even worse. Like all of this stuff that was going on. And so these journalists were like, yes, we're going to write stories and stories and stories on this. And then obviously all of us who were, I'll say us because there were more people now creating this like banking content on YouTube. They were writing articles left, right and center. And it was very easy for them to obviously go from my channel to my LinkedIn, link my name with my firm, which is not something that I had done. Yes, my LinkedIn was open because I don't care that you know where I work. Like
because everyone's gonna see that.
You can find out where most people work.
But you're not gonna explicitly say it yourself.
Exactly.
Kind of
I
thing.
didn't want to associate myself with the firm, even though you could find out. But LinkedIn was that obviously that lead for them to just say, okay, this person, we don't know where she works from her channel, but we can just easily go to LinkedIn and figure it out. And also as well, so that was happening. And then they were writing articles. I actually didn't get very many articles written about me, but there was one that was written about a friend of mine.
Yeah, I think I know.
And I did a video with her, and so my name got picked up, and I was like, this can go left, because there was someone at my company who they had like a particular video that did super well, because they were in IBD, and then it got sent around the whole firm, because like I think it got picked up by Bloomberg, and obviously you know like most people work on Bloomberg terminals, so it got sent around the whole firm, and it was just like, oh my god, like this is not what you want. Like you just want to create your content in peace. So I was like, oh, goodbye to LinkedIn. And I already had my job as well. Like when I was like still looking for work and stuff, LinkedIn was super important. But even now, like I don't really feel like I need it. So I was like, oh, this link between my firm and my YouTube channel is through LinkedIn. So I just deactivated LinkedIn.
So what, did work like pull you up kind of thing, like because of like your name was associated with that video that went viral, that was circulated?
No, so the video that we didn't really go viral. It did get picked up, and the company, yes, they did, because at this time, like, everything was going crazy, like, in the media when it comes to investment banking. So they did have a review of my channel. So
Work did a review of your channel?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Like, they pulled up, like, proper, like...
They watched my videos. Yeah. But then she was like, I love your videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was like, I love your videos, like keep going. Because one thing that I did, and this is what I tell most people to do this, but just because I feel like it's the right thing to say, but, you know, like, everyone have your own risk in it. But before I started work, I told them that this is my channel, this is the content that I make. And so I already got clearance on my channel. They told me, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. So when they came to me after and was like, oh, you know, we have to do an investigation because it was brought up, so we have to do an investigation. They were like, okay, cool, like, we see you went through all the checks, you don't do this and that, we actually really like your videos, and that was the end of the investigation. But even just then, I just didn't like that whole
the scrutiny.
period.
Yeah.
I didn't like that whole everything. I was like, oh my god, this is just too much. And even then, like, I had made day in the life of a banker videos, but I was like, even that is so restricted because there's only so much I can say, there's only so much I can do.
And
so I was like, this content is a bit restrictive for me. And so that's when I was like, took a break, and I was like, I'm probably going to pivot out of being a
content creator kind of thing. Okay, then we'll get into that in a second, but I guess, like, this one's probably a bit of a sensitive one, but what's your thoughts on, like, the whole censorship culture in corporate? Because there was recently, like, a Bloomberg article that came out where, like, Wall Street is afraid of, like, these day in the life videos now kind of thing, right? But I think everyone has common sense. You're not going to go and be revealing, like, you know, sensitive data in your day in the life and stuff like that, yet work wants to kind of just shut it down, like, no, don't talk about working in banks kind of thing. Like, do you have any views on that? Like, what's your thoughts on all that?
I just feel like I'm really rolling my eyes because I just feel like, personally, first of all, like, you can't tell me what to do outside of the contracted hours. Like, if I want to have a YouTube channel, I want to have a YouTube channel. However, it is their brand and they need to control their brand and whatever they like, whatever, they can have things. I understand them having some things that they don't want you to say and things that they do want you to say, but I don't feel like you can tell people to not talk. And I just don't think it's right to tell people to not talk about something that they are experiencing. Exactly. And it's just like this sort of ownership. And this is the thing about corporate that, like, really grinds my gears sometimes, is because you work for a company, they feel like they own you and everything that you do. And it's just like, this is too much. Like, I'm still my own person, do you know what I mean? I still have my own experiences. So I just feel like I get it, and I do think that there should be certain things that, okay, cool, like, you can't do this. And because even if you start your own company, if I have my own company, you do have your own company. There are certain things that you might be like, you know, you
can't be disclosing
rules and regulations.
That.
Like, you don't want to talk about this, you want to talk about that. They have their own reasons for that. But I feel like, I feel like Gen Z will change all of that.
Because these Gen Zs are going to be like managing directors. I know you were kind of talking about it. Like,
it's going to change.
It's like you're going to see an MD doing like a day in the life or like vlogging like the...
Francis, big CEO now, dude. When will it infiltrate into corporate is another thing, but I feel like we'll see a change in that.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think for me, it was kind of like, when I read that article, they were talking about how, like, they're afraid that these influencers are talking about the demanding nature of IBD and the long hours. But in my view, I made a LinkedIn post about this, and I basically said that everyone knows that we work demanding hours in these jobs. Like, in a lot of competitive industries, there's demanding hours, deadlines, and so on and so forth. So I don't know why firms are kind of... There's nothing to be scared of.
Why don't you want to be transparent?
Exactly.
Why hiding?
The FCA's thing is transparency. Yet, like, when we're transparent about, like, you know, what we do kind of thing, it's a big thing. And I think firms need to kind of be open-minded in looking at this as more of like a talent acquisition strategy thing, right? Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that don't mind doing all these long hours and do want to work in these industries, but again, they're not informed about like the realities of it, right? So I don't know, I think it's like it's non-progressive. And
I feel like, if anything, if it's revealing who you truly are and you have an issue with it, then change it then, because for tech, it's doing wonders. Like, tech is booming because of like social media.
Literally, like, Microsoft have like people they employ that are creators and like work like legit, like, so it's just like weird. I got in trouble like when I was working in private equity, like, for being on socials as well. Like, they proper like I remember like when I handed in my notice, because I like moved into asset management, on my last day, like I was sitting down with the HR person, and I thought they were just gonna like speak to me about, oh, we're really sad to see you go. They were putting up receipts. They were putting up all my videos. Like they were like, yeah, we don't like how you said this, and like, you know,
what
you're
did
doing
you
the. You know me, innit? Like mine are. I don't know. It was just like skits, you know, like just certain skits and stuff. Innit?
Oh.
They were just like, and the thing is, I think you know what it is. First of all, private equity is very much like an elitist, very exclusive place kind of thing. There's not. I think I was the one black person like in that firm, so I think they didn't really expect like someone to be so outspoken and just have this presence like that. So they were just like, it was just odd to them. Do you know what I mean? But they were just like innocent skits and stuff. But they just didn't like that. They told me to take videos down, but it was like my last day.
On the premise of what? Take the videos down because...
They were like, so for example, like there was a day in the life video I did, and it was just literally me in the, like my office, my desk is like in the corner. So it's just a white background of me. They're like, it's a confidentiality breach. And I was like, well, everyone can see our address online. So like, because the thing is, I'm very outspoken at work kind of thing. I'm fairly confident, and I always like prepared for the day that work would pull me up on like stuff, because I'm very vocal about my stuff on social. So I think a lot of these things, I feel like when they put like a partner in front of you, people think you're going to be scared kind of thing. But me, I'm not going to lie, I'm very outspoken. So I was just battling like every point kind of thing. So they were like, it's a confidentiality breach. I was like, the address is online kind of thing. I was like, there's no one in the video. It's just me. Like, they're just voiceovers of me like talking. And then I think one of the videos, like one of my colleagues was in the video as well kind of thing. They were like, well, you're putting an employee. I was like, she wanted to be in the video. I was like, I didn't even want to put her in the video. So they just said all these things and told me to take stuff down. But I just said no, because it was my last day. So that was just pretty much that. But I think the censorship culture is a bit...
Would you do that in another job?
Yeah, so like I'm in asset management now, and I feel like I've turned up a lot more. But I think, to be honest, like I feel like my stuff is on the straight and narrow though. But I feel like a lot of people do know that I do socials at work though, because I remember like when I was doing my interview for my asset management job, like I remember like my boss, he was like, oh, so do you have any other interests outside of work? And he was smiling at me. And I was just like, what are you smiling about kind of thing? And a lot of people at work have like pulled me up and like, oh, like, you know, I saw you on my TikTok and stuff like that. Because I think TikTok's algorithm is like on steroids. Like the discoverability on TikTok is a bit wild. So I feel like they do know, but I feel like what I post is like, it's edgy, but you know, like, it is what it is, man. But cool. So you kind of make this pivot like from being a career content creator to moving more into this like, you know, property, personal finance kind of thing, right? Talk me through all of that basically, like, you know, like what was the move then kind of thing?
Okay, so after the career thing, and I was like, oh, this just doesn't seem long lasting. And also because I was always that kind of person that, okay, corporate is now, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I'm happy I took this path, but I don't know if it's going to be my path forever. So I thought if I'm building oh my god, so many things. If I'm building my viewership off of something that that may not last for me, then am I setting up this channel to fail? 1, 2, oh my god, the people that you attract when you make finance content, yeah, especially the guys, oh my, they're just so finance obsessed, like they just can't see, and it's just like, and I just know like this person will be trying to I'm like, you've probably only barely done a spring week and they'll be trying to tell me about my company. I'm just like, I just didn't like the people that it was attracting. I also like, it's so weird. I feel like I'm probably like one of the only females who had more male viewers on my channel than female viewers, which is just weird as well. Because like, I would think that, I don't mind guys watching my channel, but I was just thought that I was addressing like,
a lot of girls didn't really want to go into like these corporate careers.
Girls were interested in banking, like banking and girls, like it's just like there were just so many things. So I was like, I don't know if I'm reaching the audience that I want to reach, and I don't even think that there was necessarily that many black people watching as well. It was a lot of like, because when I launched the resource bank, the sales were from people from Malaysia, from like, it was not like the people who I thought that I was targeting.
And just for context, like you just talk through what the resource bank actually is as well.
So when I got into corporate, I was making all of these videos about like how to get internships, blah, 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 blah. But people wanted to see like what, instead of telling me what a good CV looks like, they wanted to actually see what CV did you use to get in. And so the resource bank is like a collation of like basically the application materials, CVs, cover letters that I used to get into banking. Nice. So when I started that, like the audience was completely different to what I expected and everything. So I was like, okay, but at that point already, I was already into property, like from uni and stuff like that, and personal finance. And I was like, I'm going to bring this stuff to my channel. And I brought it to my channel and it did really well. And so I grew a big following from that sort of stuff. So I was like, this stuff kind of makes more sense. It's probably gonna last a bit longer for me. I still do career stuff like here and there, but like I kind of like pivoted towards that.
Nice, cool. So with that being said, like, you know, you're doing the personal finance property content career amongst like other side hustles as well, and then also being a full-time babe, like full-time corporate babe. So like you got a lot of stuff going on.
Full-time babe, I like that too.
You take that one as well. But you're now on the property ladder as well, right? Not one, but 2 properties. So like, well done. And I know you're like on the search for more as well. And I kind of wanted to talk through like that second property as well, because I like watch the journey of like you purchasing it, right? So when I'm stressed or like I'm feeling kind of like in like a repetitive routine, I'll usually order takeaway or like watch some Netflix, you know, maybe indulge in some retail therapy. But you on the other hand said, you know what, I'm going to fly out to a different country, first of all. You know, that's, you know, you just have the money to do that, fairs. But you know what, I'm going to buy a property as well because I'm feeling down and I'm feeling repetitive. I'm going to buy a property internationally because I'm feeling down. Like, talk me through that, because the flex is very, very different, right? That's a very different kind of flex, right?
You know what? It's not even supposed to be a flex. It was just like, I just felt like, I got to this point in my life where I just felt like everything was just going in such a in perfect order, like, you know what I mean? Like, you go to uni, like you go to like the typical banking uni, you get into like the typical banking firm. Okay, I just felt like I was following this very like formulaic life, and I wanted to add a bit of chaos to it. Like, I wanted to add something that was a bit different and do something out of the ordinary. When I was going on a search for my second property, I just felt like this is not exciting to me, and I'm just bored. So I just want to do something different. And I came across people who were doing things that were different. I was like, I want to do something different. And then,
So you decided to buy a property in South Africa?
And I said, I'm going to buy it.
Because why not? How was that process though? Was it really challenging, or like was it long? Like,
it's kind of crazy because I'm still going through the process now, and like it is long, a lot of like stuff. But it was such a fun experience. Like, just going out there, just seeing a new way of living, because I went to uni in London, I lived in London, I've been so London centric my whole life, and I thought that I'd stay there forever, and so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to take myself outside of like what was normal for me, and go somewhere that was a little bit different. And so that's what led me to South Africa, and I just loved that experience. Went to the development, I loved the development, and I just thought, because I had the money there to, like, I was looking to purchase another one in the UK anyways, but then another one came up and I was like, why don't I just do this?
Yeah, makes sense. Are you going to purchase like more international properties in the future, or are you?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay then, cool. So a lot of your popular content nowadays seems to like be very much like on the property side of things, right? Like, a lot of people have a lot of eyes on that. Do you think it's like what young people should be aiming for, like when it comes to property kind of thing? Because a lot of people are really obsessed with, and I know me as well, when I first came out of uni, it was kind of like, get my corporate job and I want to save up for my property kind of thing. Like, what's your thoughts on that, like, now kind of thing? Is it for everyone?
I think that's the whole problem with everything in society, is that we see someone do something that looks nice and we automatically think that I have to do that as well. And like, my number one thing that like I will recurringly say in every video is, you need to do what is for you, because just because you see someone doing XYZ and it looks nice, just because you see somebody go to private school and like, oh, the fact that they say they go to private school sounds so nice, you don't actually know what that experience is like. You can go there and you can really, really hate it, right? So my whole thing is like, whenever you want to do something, you need to fully understand yourself first, so you can understand if this goal actually makes sense for you. And for some people, I don't feel like it necessarily will make sense. Like, for me personally, like, okay, cool, when I think about, okay, what am I going to get? What's going to get handed down? What's going to get handed? Is that English?
Yeah, handed down.
What's going to get handed down to me, like, you know, for the day when, you know, I don't even want to think about it, but like, you know, when my parents go, what are they going to hand down to me? And there's not that much, that maybe debt, realistically speaking. So bailiffs at my door is probably what I would get. And so I started to think, okay, cool, like, what do I want to hand down to my children? Like, I see the benefit of when people just inherit being a millionaire because their parents can just hand them £1 million portfolio. But then there are some people whose parents, their parents already do that. Like, so it's just like, if my parents were already doing that, I don't think I would probably be, like, even if I was interested in property, maybe I'd be interested in a different type of property. But me wanting to get on the ladder and get properties is because of my particular circumstance and situation that I've grown up in, and the things that I want to change. So it's very particular to myself, and because everybody is not in the same situation as me, no, I don't think it will be for everyone. But I just think, like with social media and stuff, everyone's always chasing the next announcement post that they can make and what sounds nice.
And I think it's this comparison thing as well, right? Because you feel like in society, you feel like you have to be doing like the things that society thinks you have to do. So you have to get the good job and you have to get property. And I remember like I was so obsessed with getting on the property ladder. Like I was like, no, I don't care about that no more. Like I literally don't have no interest in property. Like I wanna like invest all my money into like a business. That's what I want to do, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like I feel like a lot of people, it's kind of like, you know, like the property is just what I have to get because, you know, like I've always wanted to get on the property ladder. And I don't know, like I was speaking to my mentor and he was like, unless you want to get into property for business, he was like, there's no point, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Or you actually just genuinely want to live in your own home, kind of thing. So that's why I kind of wanted to just ask you on that side of things. But, you know, on the topic of just personal finances, most people have like one, maybe two income streams at most, kind of thing. You have like about 7. Like you're doing a lot, do you know what I'm trying to say? And we'll get into the topic of like toxic productivity and like anti-hustle culture, but some people may look at you and just be like, "Wow, like you're doing too much. Like chill out," kind of thing. Why do you feel like you need to grow your wealth to like this extent? Like, because it seems like such a big motivation in your life, and I know you kind of touched on like, you know, your circumstance. Like, what is that like exactly? Like that you just had to say, I need to make money.
I don't even understand like people who don't understand it, because like when you look up and see certain people and they're 50 and the life that they're living, like if for me it's scary. I'm just like, oh hell no, I'm not doing that at 50. I'm not doing this job for 30 years, 40 years, and I still have to beg people to go on holiday. Like I still have to beg people to spend time with my family. Like all I have to do is just look up at people a few years ahead of me, and it's scary. I'm like, I don't want that for myself. And I understand how pivotal my 20s are into setting the foundations of my life. And so for me, I'm doing the bare minimum that I can. Like this is a starting point for me, because I know that I don't want to. When you know that you don't want to end up like the average person, then you need to do things that the average person isn't doing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it sounds like that's like more of a big motivation. It's not necessarily the money, but it's just the fact that you don't want to end up being average or mediocre, basically.
No, I can't get that.
No, I respect it, man. I respect it. Again, on the topic of personal finances, you made a video the other day about like your net worth, right? And like your net worth goals. Do you know what your net worth is now? What is your net worth?
I ain't showing it.
I mean, but you've already shared that by 30, you want your net worth to be like you want your net worth to be a certain amount. But is it in line with like your expectations now in terms of like where you want it to be? Or
I'm really happy with my net worth. I'd never calculated it before, like a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, and I didn't really understand the whole net worth thing. That's why, like in the first part of that video, my first thing was to kind of explain to people how you actually become a millionaire, because I think everyone knows like millionaire, but do you actually know like what it means to be a millionaire, how to actually get there? So I calculated it, and I think for me, I'm really, really happy with it, because someone could be in my same position and have you know even worked where I've worked, got the same salary that I have, got even more salary than I have, and still have a negative net worth, because at the end of the day, everything that they've purchased has been a liability, or it's just the money has just flown through them, and you still have that humongous student debt that's there. And so obviously I graduated on a negative net worth, as with most people who didn't have their parents pay for university for them, and I've like turned that around and like, you know, well on the path to
nice. So you've paid off all your student loan?
I haven't actually paid off all my student loan. No. If I wanted to, I could, but I don't want to. It's not my priority. I'm like trying to balance investing and paying down my debt. So yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. The 24/7 Club is sponsored by Beyond Education. Beyond Education is a platform dedicated to helping candidates from non-Russell Group universities access early career opportunities at corporate institutions. In the height of the pandemic, the top 100 graduate employers only targeted students from Russell Group universities. And that's why Beyond Education has aligned their efforts to double down on initiatives to actually help the more disadvantaged group access these opportunities at corporate institutions. As a member of their platform, you can get access to free career resources, access to the latest job opportunities, and also access their Discord channel with over 200 plus members where you get one-to-one support and insight from actual industry professionals. And did I mention that this is all for free? So be sure to actually sign up to their platform so you can get access to all of this and be more informed about the various career paths in the corporate industry. And I'm not sure if like, we're going to get into like a very saucy topic. I'm not sure if you're in a relationship at the moment, but obviously like finances is like very much a big thing that affects like relationships, for example, and like who you're dating. And I don't know if like you've experienced like amassing so much wealth, like how is that on like partners or potential partners? You've had this like worry in the back of your head that you're a bit intimidating, like, you know, has that ever crossed your mind?
What do you think? No, well, not about me. What do you think about like women who make money, and how do you like,
how do you kind of like navigate that?
Yeah.
I mean, so the thing is like me personally, like, I'm very, very secure. So like to me, that doesn't really affect me kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, if anything, I'm motivated by that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's kind of like, bro, like shit, like what are you doing? Like put me on, like let me know, like so I can like kind of level up as well, kind of thing.
But not in a, I'm not talking about just how, but I'm talking about in a romantic sense. If that was your partner, how would you feel? How would you approach that? Because it's so funny because me and my friend Victoria, like we literally did a podcast on this yesterday, and I think that we're gonna go off topic. We want to go. But I feel like, okay, let's talk about. Let's say everyone in this room is an ambitious person. So you're an ambitious person. I'm an ambitious person. Yeah. I feel like as an ambitious woman, there are different types of ambitious women. Some of them purposely date down. Some of them like whatever. But for an ambitious woman, I think, or someone like myself and my friends that I have, you also want to be in a relationship with someone who is just as ambitious. But I feel like for ambitious men, sometimes that can be different. Like they don't care if their partner is ambitious or, you know, has those other things as well. Yeah. So what is that like for you? Do you care or not?
So the thing is, I feel like the secure part of me like says I don't care, but because I've never been in that situation, I don't know exactly like how it would affect me. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like my dating experience, for the most part, I've always dated someone that's like relatively like, I wouldn't say as ambitious as me, but kind of like, it's like, oh, you know, like it's good what you're doing kind of thing. I'm motivated as well. Or sometimes they're just not as ambitious, like pretty much kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I haven't been in that experience where it's like, shit, like she's making like a fuckload more money than me. Like, you know, like I've never been in that situation, but a part of me just feels like I wouldn't care.
But would you approach then said type of women who are super ambitious, or would you feel like, because I spoke to some other guys and they're like, they very much know their level. So if some people are like, if she's making X amount, I'm not even going to go there because I feel like we're not on par.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like if that's a head scratcher, because if there's certain things that kind of attract me to you, obviously like based on just physical attraction, for example.
So it's physical attraction first,
no,
right?
Yeah, it's always physical attraction first, you know what I mean? And if I catch a vibe from you and I'm talking to you kind of thing, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care, like, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to chat to you, like I don't really care what you have, do you know what I'm trying to say? So
this is my conclusion about most men.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like, she's nice, yes. Like I like her personality, yes. Like, let's go, like, you know what I'm trying to say? But at the same time, I do feel like sometimes you have to cut your coat according to your size, like, to be quite honest. Because I feel like where I'm at in life right now kind of thing, I very much, like, want to... I guess, like, I need all the resources I can to, like, build stuff. So, like, with that being said, I'm not really punching above my weight. Like, I'm not really going for high maintenance. I'm not really going for high maintenance babes, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, okay. So do you know what I mean? So it just really depends.
What's high maintenance babes mean?
So, okay. Okay. No, I think I'm going off tangent, but okay, cool. Like a high maintenance babe is like someone that just expects like a certain kind of lifestyle, like a very much like a luxury lifestyle kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like the stage I'm at in life right now, I need all the resources
Wait, so you're trying to say that you're tight and you're stingy?
Like, at the moment, you know, I'm not really going for high maintenance babes at the moment kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like I wouldn't be deterred from going for like an ambitious babe. Like it's not that deep, like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's always a motivator. Okay. But I don't know, has that affected you in life, like in terms of your dating life? Do you feel like you intimidate guys now, or?
I don't think if I met someone in person, I will come across as intimidating. I hope I don't give off that vibe. I'm just more of a conversational sort of person. When I meet guys as well, it's always them that goes down the, oh, you work at this place, oh, you bought this, like that would not be my
you don't
first
just flex
conversation
it and
go-to. Like,
yeah.
I really, in my offline life, I don't like to talk about that stuff. I don't like to talk about myself, like, in my offline life, if it's not related. If we're just discussing property in general, strategies, blah, 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 that's interesting, but I'm not going to lead with that sort of stuff because I really, like, I have those conversations when I need to have those conversations. I'm not trying to have that, like, in my everyday interaction. So I hope that not, like, in person, I don't give off that vibe. But I think that some people will see that and just be like, what kind of guys do you date then? Because I feel like a girl like you'd be dating probably someone like a step above your level, no? I think for me, it's just important that the person is, we just have to be equally yoked. I'm not
what
dragging.
Does equally yoked mean?
I'm not dragging. I'm not here to drag somebody. I'm not here to, like, be your biggest inspiration. Like, I wouldn't want to, I don't want them to look at me and think, oh my god, wow. Like, obviously you want them to, like, respect you and respect what you're doing, but they need to have their own thing going on as well. Like, I don't want to be the one who is like,
So putting it in just plain simple terms, if you have, like, a higher net worth than them or something, and it looks like the trajectory you're on is just not what they're on, kind of thing, then are you not interested?
If they're not ambitious, no.
But no, if they are ambitious though, they're ambitious, but they're just not on your level. So let's say, like, the average, I guess, like, corporate boy, he's like a banker or something. He just takes his job really seriously, and that's like he's on the trajectory to be an MD and make a lot of money, and that's fine. Like very much what he's on, kind of thing. Then that's a bit of you, like, you don't mind that.
I don't mind. I don't mind. I'm not like I feel like that's fine. I think most girls would be happy with someone who was just, like, career focused, career driven. I'd prefer not too obsessed with corporate, but
okay, so I'm not like me then, basically. Like, that's basically
what you've got your own things going on outside.
True.
Of it. So no, I wouldn't say. Yeah, no.
Nah, fair enough. Okay then, cool. On the topic of money still, I remember, like, when I graduated, like, being in an African household and you're kind of working, like, a job that everybody thinks is, like, the most important thing since, like, mankind, kind of thing, especially, like, if you are the first one to go uni or you're the first one to be in this office. I remember, like, I was just getting, like, all these messages from extended family and kind of like, oh, my boy, and, you know, oh, like, da-da-da-da. You know, you have, like, 3 siblings, you have a close relationship with your mom. Has the dynamic within the family changed since you started making not average money, but, like, a lot of money? Like, do you know what I mean? And you're still living at home, kind of thing. You're probably one of the highest earners. Like, you know, how's that dynamic like in a family life?
I feel like I hear when people talk about all of this stuff, and I'm just like, really, like, the cheat. Do you know what? I feel like my mom is like, she's very protective over her children, so there's no way an auntie is gonna come to ask me for money without having first gone through my mom, and my mom will be the first person to tell you, like, absolutely not. But I feel like, do you know what? We're pretty blessed in the sense now that everyone is actually doing well. Like, even my younger siblings, like, they've got, like, big acting roles.
Oh yeah, because your brother's, like, in Top Boy as well.
Yeah, so they've been able to, like, sustain themselves, and, like, my older brother's also in a really good job now. So everyone's actually doing really, really well. But me starting my corporate job was not the first time where I was the main, like, I was someone in the house that was making a lot of money. Even before then, even when I did my gap year, I was still definitely, like, on the net basis after expenses and everything, probably one of, like, the highest earners in the house. So it's not the first time, like, being my corporate job. But I would say that they're not the
typical Africans, basically.
Yeah, no, and, like, my mom, like, she's really good with that. I don't know why it is, but she has her times where she will ask for certain things and she'll, like, bang on and on about certain things. But I think it's about setting boundaries. Like, I tell her, like, look, cool, I pay a certain amount to help you every single month, and every now and again, if she wants something, her birthday, blah, 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 we'll help her with it. But she's very much like, you lot take your money and do well for yourselves, so that you don't, like, for her, us not having to ask her for money all the time is enough. That, like, you lot are taking care of yourself, so that's kind of good. Obviously, like, things have changed now. With my brother, before, for his birthday, he's asking for £10, £20. Now he's coming asking for Versace sunglasses, this, that. So obviously, like, things have definitely
the lifestyle
changed.
Inflation, like, is definitely,
the requests for birthdays are getting a bit whoa. But that's really the only time. Or sometimes, like, for my youngest brother, like for his like, because he's like really trying to get into this acting thing, everyone will put in like a certain amount. Everybody, like my older brother, my brother under me, we all put in like a certain like couple hundreds of pounds to help him. So like we put in money to help each other, but no one in my family is like.
It's not like a weird dynamic since like you guys started like you started making
Yeah, no, we don't have that. No, because I just think it's so, and I'm so happy that like all my mum's siblings are in this country, because I think when you start having that dynamic of like being in back home, and then they just like sorry,
it's not. Okay, then fair enough. You seem like you're always working, like. And I feel like you are, like, to amass, like, all of these things, you know what I mean? Even when you went to South Africa to let your hair down, it was really a business trip, like, more than anything, right? Like, how do you let your hair down? You also seem like you have quite a close-knit group of friends. Like, when I'm on your socials and stuff, you're just with Vicky, like, that's who you're pretty much always with. You also didn't come to my birthday as well, but... It's cool. Nah, it's cool. The games night didn't come. Birthday didn't come. It's all calm.
Wow, you're keeping a tally.
So like this year.
No, but I feel like there was good reason. Okay, no, I'm not the most.
It's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to. Sometimes it's just like.
Still invite me though.
Yeah, I'll still invite you. Like, but you have to come this time.
The thing is though, but like now that we've met, it's just. Yeah.
Yeah, I respect it. It's like a social like. We were like social media friends, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And the thing is, the back of my head, I kind of just tried it anyways. Like, like...
It's good.
Yeah, like, she shouted me on social. I kind of like her content. If you want to come, kind of thing. I didn't take it personal. Like, it was like...
Yeah, right.
Like, it was just like, I guess, she doesn't want to come kind of thing, innit? Do you know what I mean? But, like, you seem like you just have that... My friendship group, this is it, and apart from that, I'm just always working kind of thing. I saw you, like, you were awake on 5:30 this Saturday, like, skipping in the park. Like, and, like, bro, how'd you let your hair down? Like, what you doing? Like...
okay. So, socially, I feel like... Well, first of all, I'm an introvert anyways.
Really?
Like, yeah, do I not come across as an introvert?
I mean, no, I would not.
Really?
Not at all.
Why?
Not at all. You're quite loud-spoken. For one, and like,
I think so.
Yeah, definitely, and you have more of a personality. Like,
really,
yeah.
I'm 100% an introvert. Like,
really,
before I used to think I was 50-50 extrovert, introvert. I don't know if COVID like made me more of an introvert, but I'm definitely an introvert. Like, I have my people that I like, and I just like being close with them. I'm not the most excited about going to like events, and even when I go to like networking events, I'm definitely that person that will like talk to like 2 or 3 people rather than work my way around the whole room.
I believe in that so much as well, though, because I think like a lot of networking events, it's like you're not going to take the contact of every single person and contact them after. I very much believe in like whoever you naturally gravitate towards kind of thing, form the relationship there kind of thing, and just keep it stepping, like, you know what I mean? Whereas, so I hear that.
Yeah, so I think socially it's just like and I think that like because, like, a lot of the time, people always like to me, why don't you collab with this person? Why don't you collab with that person? Why don't you collab with that person? And I'm like, but on the basis of what, though? Because if we don't actually, like, everyone who I've brought onto my channel, it's never been because I want to get access to their followers and stuff. Like, these are, like, my genuine friends, like Gavra, Aisha. Like, these are people who, like, genuinely we would have these conversations anyways. And so those are the people that I'm just more likely to feel comfortable with to film. Like, my strategy socially has never been, like, I have to be in close proximity. Everyone who's popping, I need to be friends with them. I need to be friends. Because I just find that a bit like vulture-y. Like people always trying to like use other people's like clout and stuff like that. I don't even like to get into all of that stuff. So I'm like, if I have a core, solid group of friends, the reason why it seems like I'm always with Victoria because she's one of my only friends who are also social media like. But I have like other friends as well. We just don't post
on social media.
They're not on social. So for me, I'm just like, when it comes to like adding new friendships to my roster, like it has to be like a good vetting process. I need to get to know them and understand them, meet them in person, see what the vibe is, and then be like, okay, cool, fine. Because there are some times where I've been super, super social, add people, and then they're weirdos, and then you're just like, But yeah, but on the topic of like always working, do you know what? How do you let your hair down?
We were actually having this conversation yesterday. I think for me, the way I let my hair down is not working. Like, I know that sounds, but it's like, I'm like relatively like quite boring, to be honest, contrary to what people think on socials. But I'm a very like, okay, cool, if I'm banging out work, okay, cool, stop work. That's like letting my head on. It could be like chilling, watching Netflix, like going out with friends, like, but that's pretty much like what I'm on. But I don't know, I feel like the reason why I talk about that close friendship group thing is because I feel like for you, as much as you say like you're an introvert, I feel like it's subconsciously intentional with like your goals and stuff. I feel like you keep your friendships groups like quite close knit and quite like revolving around the same people because of the goals that you want to achieve.
That's a really, really, really good point. And yeah, I should definitely add that. I think as well, when it comes to my soul, I'm very conscious of whose thoughts and words I let in my mind.
Because I remember you talking about how like you don't need to listen to everyone kind of thing.
No, I'm very much like, I'm just very scared of like some people's, it's not even like a fear thing, but it's just like when you're building something that is actually quite fragile, and when you're building something where you're kind of like doing something that maybe is unconventional, one person's comment about like something that you do, or you're doing too much, or it's happened to me before, like and like it happens like every now and again where I get into a conversation with someone and they will say something and like it will really affect me and how I think about what I'm doing. So that's why I'm just like, I need the right people around me, because I can't let like these little
things derail
things that
like
people have to say. Because like, I remember when I was even like doing like getting awards and stuff like that, there was someone at uni who was just like, I remember they just made a comment that was like, you know, you just think about something like, what did this person mean? I can't have that. Like, I don't need to be deep thinking everything that I'm doing and stuff like that. It is so important to me that everyone around me is like, not all my friends are like super like doing all this. Some of them are just like banter, just there for banter, there for a good time. And I love those friends as well. But they're not people who are trying to actively discourage me, and it's not sometimes that people have bad intentions. The way people think about themselves and how they feel about themselves as well is also what they project onto you. So if someone who isn't like into their own self-development, isn't happy with their life, they are naturally just that's going to rub off on you, like whether they mean it or not, it's going to rub off on you, and I can't have that. So that's what I kind of like gather just from the outside looking in. I feel like you just don't really like mess with certain people because of like the trajectory that you're on kind of thing. But it's not about the people though. Like, it's not about I don't mess with you, it's just about me. I'm going this way, and then
and that's fair. And how do you let your hair down then? Like, what do you do to let your hair down?
So I was gonna ask, so you said like just like not doing.
I just don't do it. I'm very boring though. Like, I'm actually not like I'm not a go out.
What's a fun person? Like club.
Like no, that's not me. That's not me. Recently though, I started like went to like total wipeout with a couple of friends kind of thing. That was like pretty fun. Like, I'm like, if I'm up for an activity, like kind of thing, like I don't mind that. Do you know what I mean? But I think this stage that I'm at now in life, and we can talk about off camera kind of thing, because I'm like planning to do like a lot of big things kind of thing.
Cheers.
I'm very much like on a
tunnel vision.
Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like me relaxing is just, okay, stop working. Like, do you know what I mean? And then it's kind of like get back on work kind of thing. So that's where I'm at right now kind of thing. But yeah.
So I think the reason that so for me, I feel like what I've had to realize is what I used to call like downtime. So I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm not going to work. And I would just like binge like Netflix the whole day, stay in bed, be on my phone. And what I realized is that never recharged me. I would always end up feeling worse. Like anytime my social media consumption is like excessive, I always notice that my thoughts are very, very different. Like the way I feel about myself is very, very different. So for me, I like that the way other people maybe see having downtime of like, you know, just chilling on the sofa, being on social media, watching TV. It doesn't refresh me. Like it's not something that makes me feel like, oh, okay, cool, I'm ready to get back into work. And so that's why my downtime is very, very different. So even though that South Africa trip was I guess in a sense a business trip, that was like me like just going off the grid. Like I got like my screen time a day was like 2 hours, and I was just engulfed in like whatever activities I was doing, and just like a break from the norm, off of social media, off of just sitting there watching TV, sitting there watching YouTube, getting stuck into some activities like total wipeout. Like I love like activities and stuff, talking to new people. For me, that's downtime. And it's hard to get that in like an everyday, but like working every day, I just feel like it's one way also to just keep my mind where it needs to be, as opposed to like being on social media, being on YouTube, being on Netflix. Like, I don't know, that stuff doesn't fill my mind with the right things all the time. But I don't work all the time. It's just that because of my brand, I'm more likely to pick up the camera when you're working.
No, and that makes sense, I guess, right? But then you also have like the anti like work, anti-hustle police, innit? Do you know what I mean? Kind of talking about you need to relax and you need to chill and you shouldn't be working too hard.
Light your candle, do your bubble bath.
Soft life, like, you know, like, I know you don't like soft life, you know, so what are your views on that? Like, you know, like everyone just saying like chill, don't work out. And I feel like for me, this is one of the reasons why, like, I do agree with the sentiment of just like not really letting too much people in, kind of thing, because you very much know the reason why you're doing those things. You know why you're working so hard. So like when an outsider just comes in and just says this generic, typical, vague advice of you need to like chill, or like you need to stop working out, stop being too hard on yourself. It's like, shut up. It's just like shut up. Like I know why I'm hard on myself. Like I know I haven't done enough. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you get the similar experience as well. Like, and
yeah. Do you know what? People never really say it direct, and I think this is because like my echo chamber is so small. I never really hear those things. I just hear other people saying that they hear those things. Because even just like people are like, oh, like, how has it been on YouTube? How do you deal with other people's opinions? I don't really hear other people's opinions very often because I'm not around people who have like, I don't speak to that many people to get so many different people's opinions. So I'm very much in my own echo chamber, trying to control as much of like what the information I hear around me is. But I just feel like, first of all, like when people who typically say these things, you also have to look at their lives first and just think, do I want this person's life? And like for me, that's already like the first barrier of just like, okay, now I need to look at, okay, why are they saying that? Because I don't know, I feel like sometimes people saying like, stop doing so much because you're making me feel uncomfortable. Stop working so hard because you're making me feel like I need to work harder. But babe, it's not about you. Like, it's really not about you. This is my own personal journey. Like you said, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing and I have my reasons. So like, respectfully, like this isn't about you. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like when it comes to this whole soft, like I think that I get it. Like I think that especially for like black women and stuff, there's a lot of like tolerating struggle that we have to go through, and I'm not about that either. And I think mental wellness and physical wellness is so important. And I think even though I haven't said it, like all of these things about not letting different people in my close circle, this is all about my own mental wellness and like you know what I mean, like all of these things adds into it. So I get it on that sense, but I just feel like for me right now, like I'm kind of trying to build my life. Like what is lighting a candle is nice, I like candles and stuff, but
it's just not.
Some people are doing bubble bath, but you're not sorting out the real issues in your life. Like the reason, like, do you know what I mean? Like there's a deeper issue than a bubble bath. The bubble bath is not going to solve everything. Like you need to like look into the real root of what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like a lot of people just do these facade, like pretty things,
these aesthetic.
But growth is ugly. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. It's very true. Growth is ugly. It's uncomfortable, and it's like I feel like the soft life is very much a disguise for. I don't want to do work.
I want to do work. And just say that. Do you know what I mean?
It's okay. It's actually okay. It's actually okay. Like, no one's asking you to do that. No, but I just find it really interesting because, I do know, like, now there's very much, like, a anti-hustle police. And that's why, like, I kind of named this thing the 24/7 Club because it's kind of like...
aggravate some people, you know.
Oh, very.
Just the name alone.
No, it's going to be like, wow, like, you know, promoting a toxic, negative... And, you know, a lot of the guests that come on are... kind of like high achievers. They're people that are doing a lot of things, you know what I mean? So it's very much going to be like a, wow, like, you know, you can't be doing that. And I think when we kind of started this group chat at work, it was just for the consultants that used to work all the time. But I think the one thing we said was that we liked doing it, you know what I mean? We found the work fulfilling, so we didn't mind like banging out all these long hours, you know what I'm trying to say? And I feel like some people that are not necessarily in that environment or not doing fulfilling things don't really get that concept.
Yes. Exactly.
It's kind of like I remember when I was working in consulting and I'll be working 12-hour days, like, why are you doing that? You're slaving away for the man. You shouldn't be doing that. Like, no, you shouldn't be working.
I'm not even going to say what I want to say.
Nah, go on.
I don't want to come for people, innit? I just keep my mouth shut.
No, you got to let out.
Just be saying stuff and it's just like...
Yeah, no, it was just like, you're slaving away for the man and you shouldn't be doing that. And I was like...
Do you know what? One guy, when I first like posted that I got my job like at the bank that I work for, one black guy was like, all our black intelligent people shouldn't be working for these white man corporations. Are you going to give me a job? Are you going to, if you tell me right now that you can offer me a job that pays me at least £50,000 a year, I will leave.
Nah.
No, you probably don't even have a job yourself and you're telling me, I shouldn't be working. What do you want me to do then? What do you want me to do?
Nah, it's very like backwards. I think like also the society that we're in now like very much like glamorizes this independent like work for yourself, be an entrepreneur kind of thing, and it's not as simple as that for everyone. And the thing is, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that you can make a decent living doing this 9 to 5 thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people like that very much like work, and that's the trajectory, and they very much like work their way up to those senior levels, and it's fine. Do you know what I mean?
I think the 9 to 5 gets a bad rep because like everyone it's the norm, right? So everyone, it's kind of like banking, right? Banking has a bad rep because when you go to a certain unis, like let's just say LSE for example, everyone is just pushed into banking because they see everyone around them doing it, so they go into it. But certain people, that's not the industry for you. You are, even though you went to LSE, you still might be a creative. Maybe you need to be working for XYZ, but because people feel pressured, they go into it, and then a lot of people are very, very miserable at what they do, and so that gives the whole 9 to 5 thing a bad rep. But there are people who are genuinely happy and loving what they're doing, but then there's a whole bunch of people who are just doing it because they have to.
Exactly.
And that's where the bad rep
But they don't even have to though. Like they think they have to do it. You don't even have to. Like, so it's just really weird. I just think anti-hustle. I think my principle in life is just do you. Like,
that's it. If you want to sleep all day, you want to do stuff, do it.
Just do you.
But then like, let the other people who want to hustle in peace. Like.
Yeah, no, literally, it's as simple as, man. But I guess like on the topic of just this like working all the time kind of thing, and very much your brand is, I'm on it 24/7. I'm working that hard kind of thing. I don't think I've ever really seen like a vulnerable Lamide. Like,
oh really?
Nah, on your channels it's very much like, hi guys, so I just made 60 bags now, I'm on 6 figures, 100k this, you know, I woke up 5:30 this morning, I've, you know, read like 5 books. Like, it's never I've never seen you just like on some like shit's hard at the moment, I didn't get into this and this, that and the third, like, you know. So do you ever get overwhelmed, like any experiences where it's just like, shit, this is a lot?
I think so that's why we started Behind the Hustle, because I feel like it's not one thing, like my brand is, I'm not gonna come, like the thing is with social media, like I know people say like, oh, people just put up like their highlights, yeah, but I'm not the type of, I'm not gonna want to pick up a camera if I'm not feeling it, you know. I'm not gonna do it because that stuff it sells as well. Like you get a lot of views.
Oh yeah, definitely crying definitely.
I'm never gonna like sell my pains or my traumas, even if it's just to make other people feel better. If I don't feel comfortable with putting that out there, I'm not going to put that out there to make you feel better, because I matter first.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people who are vulnerable online, and then people use their vulnerabilities and they beat them down and they troll them.
Yeah, and they troll, and it's just like,
things. So I'm not like, it's not my intention, but I feel like it's so crazy because I feel like a lot of my story has been like things that haven't been easy. It's just the fact that in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool, this has just happened. I'm going to need to turn this around. Like the whole fact that I'm like a career person, or I was a career person, I got 0 investment banking offers in my first year, and I spoke about that. Like I got all rejections. When I got rejected from the company that I work at now, they rejected me, and I was crying, and I said that on my channel. But it's just that in the context of the video was at the point where I turned things around for myself, and I'm explaining it to them. So people don't really take like heed of like, okay, this came from this, and because like I just spoke about the fact that like I'm sitting here, we're having this interview, right? But I just told you that like I haven't grown up in like with a privileged background. You know, like there's things that have made me the way that I am, but it's just because we're sitting here, we're discussing the highlights, that people don't realize that, okay, but you know, this person had to go through XYZ to get here. So I feel like my story has loads of downs. It's just the fact that I guess when it comes to when I've turned things around is when I come and
and plus I think the highs are really high though. Like I can't lie. Like I think your trajectory is not like an average trajectory as well. So I think sometimes like when you kind of see it, it's kind of like, wow, she's doing so sick. Like, you know, like
I'm going through a life crisis at the moment.
Really? What's the life crisis?
I don't know what I want to do. I swear to God, every day I'm always like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. Like, I'm so confused. You know how many times
Well, like just working life, or like personal life, or just in general, like
in general, like what I want to do in general, where I want to go. And every day we were doing diagram, trying to figure out like what the hell I want to do. Like this is, and I said it on my stories. I'm like, I'm having a crisis like every single time, trying to figure out like where do I go from here, right? But I think the thing about me is, especially because like some of the things that you said, because I read a lot, I watch a lot of sermons, there's so much positivity that I take in. It's very rare, like I don't have like long depressive episodes because I know, like I'm so self-aware that when I start to see myself spiraling, I know exactly what to do to get myself out of that very, very quickly.
What do you do?
Everything that you don't want to do, like even if anyone who is watching this right now is going through that period, because when something like, usually like one thing will happen that will maybe put you in a bad mood, and then what you will do is you will let go of all the things that you know that you should be doing because you don't feel like it, right? When you're not feeling your best self, you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to read that book, you don't want to talk to your friends, you don't want to open up a sermon, and like you don't want to do those things. But in those moments is when you have to do those things, because you like, those are the things that, because when you're happy, when you feel good, when you feel motivated, it's so easy to stay productive, it's so easy to wake up at 5, it's so easy to read that book and blah. But really and truly, you're only doing that so when you get to that low point, you can lean on all of the stuff that you've been reading. Because when you're already motivated, those stuff don't really mean anything. It's when you don't feel like it, that's when you need to lean on that stuff and do it. So I know that when I'm going through, when I'm like not happy or I'm not in the right space, I know that, okay, cool, like dial it down on social media. You don't want to go to the gym, you need to go to the gym. You don't want to open up a sermon, you need to open up. Like this is when like this stuff is so important. Everything that you've learned didn't matter when you were motivated. Now that you're like going through something, that's when you need to rely on that stuff. And so I feel like I'm able to come out of these situations a lot quicker than most people. I don't live in that depressive state. Yeah, I don't live in there. No.
Cool. So how you navigating the crisis? Like, what are you doing? Who are you leaning on? Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. Every day be Victoria. Let's go to WeWork. Let's think about our lives. Let's think about our brands. Let's think about our businesses.
Let's re-strategize.
Let's re-strategize.
Like mind back.
Diagram. YouTube. Do I still want to do YouTube? Where do I see myself like doing YouTube? Like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to leave my job? Do I want to stay in my job? Do I want to like... Everyday crisis.
But you figure it out. I guess it's just like navigating the crisis, but still trying to be in that upward trajectory as well, right?
But I'm still going to wake up every day and read, because that's how I'm going to figure it out. I'm still going to wake up every day and go to the gym, because that's how I'm going to clear my mind. And I just know that regardless of the crisis that I'm going through, if I just keep doing the things that I'm doing, I'm going to get closer to whatever the solution is going to be.
Of course. Just on the topic of your going back to your content creation and stuff like that. Have you ever just got a troll comment and you're just like one that's just made you want to react? Like me, for example, when I jumped on TikTok, I'm not gonna lie, I have thick skin. Most of it is just sharp. But there was one. This was when I kind of discovered the whole non-Russell group thing, and a lot of people always clown me because I went to University of Northampton, and it's not necessarily a good uni per se. And it just really touched my bone. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it was something like, this guy's lying, he works in a back alley street firm, he doesn't work in corporate, he's a liar. And it's just sharp, just sharp. And it really got to me kind of thing. Have you ever had one of those?
Do you know what? I don't get troll comments that often, but I remember one time when I did a day in the life of a banker, some guy, probably some old white guy, must have commented and was like, he was like, I don't know who hired you. You can barely get a sentence out. I wouldn't hire you to be a banker, let alone a bank teller. I didn't even know what a bank teller was. And then he was like, no wonder why our country is having a financial crisis. And it was just me, analyst, that I've been here for 6 months. I'm the reason why the whole country is having a financial crisis.
Just me.
And I just think you're just, I don't know. And I was I was venting on the phone to someone about it, and I was what is this? But I was I'm going to keep making videos. Just to people I want to piss you off. I'm going to keep making those videos. Definitely. So for me, that day, after 30 minutes of me venting, I recorded a video.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It got to the point where I started making videos to kind of bait out the comments and stuff. So like literally, because when I started doing this research on this non-Russell group thing, obviously my plan is to kind of like really like bring to attention like this is actually a thing, right? So I started making videos to get those people to comment so that I could go and post and be like, look, this thing is legit, like, you know what I mean? So yeah,
do you
like,
know what's
really
so hard? As you make those videos, they're aggro, like they're inside them is boiling.
No, sometimes
and you just have to laugh at
sometimes
them.
I even reply to them. Some of them will be like, "You're so dumb, like you probably can't do this." I'm like, "Yeah, true, you're right." Like I literally troll them so hard. Like one of them, I trolled them so much that he became like.
I even know this person, because I've seen you post their comments. What's his name?
Leonardo.
Yeah.
He became like
he's
my comment moderator now. That's what we call him. He's my comment moderator. He's always in my comments, kind of thing. He tells me like market intel and everything as well. Like,
I promise you that guy's not happy.
No, like he'll literally comment. He'll like be like, "Oh, corporate Steve, like I know you work a shit job, but what do you think about PwC?" Like he does stuff like that, and I'll be like, "Oh, Leonardo, thank you so much for the insight." Like they hate it so much, but. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just jarring, man. But I guess to kind of wrap up then, you're on this trajectory of, I'm going to build this wealth. I'm going to like work on all these side hustles and I'm very much going to be making as much money as possible. You recently put out that, you know, you're on this like framework to make like 1 million kind of thing, net worth, all that kind of stuff. Do you feel like you're going to get to a point where you're just going to be content? Or is it always going to be a onwards and upwards thing? Because how much can you, like how much is enough? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Someone made a comment on my one of my videos lately and was like, do you think that when you hit that goal you're going to be happier? And then she was talking about like being content, blah 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 blah. And I haven't actually responded because I was kind of just thinking about it. And I think I never used to understand like this whole notion of like you're never gonna be happier than how happy you can be right now. And I never really used to get that. But the answer is, first of all, no. Like, I don't think that when I hit that 1 million, I'm just going to be exponentially happier than where I am right now. Because one thing I've noticed about, and I think every ambitious person goes through this, like, when you get to one, like, you're at somewhere, you want to get there. When you get there, you're exposed to a whole new range of things. And then you then realize, oh, crap, there's another level. And you get there and you realize, oh, crap, there's another level. And it just comes with being like, I used to think banking was everything. Like, banking were the most paid people. Like, yeah. And then I got to my internship and I'm like conversating with people, my team, and they're just talking about how like little they're getting paid and how much they want to go to like the hedge funds and they're making the real money. And then I'm sure if you go to the hedge fund people, they'll talk about someone else is making the most money. And so that's when I started to realize, okay, cool, like happiness starts now. So I think the first thing to clear up is I'm not on a happiness hunt through money. I don't feel like more money is definitely going to make me more happy. I feel like it's going to allow me to solve a lot of money problems that I'm having and allow me to reach a certain level of my life, and I think more so just to buy me the freedom to be able to go after my happiness and do things that make me happy. But I'm not really concerned about like, will I hit a ceiling on like, and then just like coast. It's just not a concern of mine right now. I just have these goals that I want to get to. I'm focused on being happy now because who knows if I'm going to get there, and if I don't get there, I'm going to be super miserable. No, I need to be happy now so that I can enjoy the journey. But I think the journey, like, probably will just keep continue going. So
yeah, I hear it, man. I hear it. Well, thank you so much, Lamide, for coming on board and just really kind of like sharing your story.